over the last year, we've had these privilege of these weekly visitations from Bryan Fowler, the guy sitting here with the funky hat on, and he can remember this song. It was in January or February, and it was called "All My Boast," and it was just this hookiest kind of thing, and it kind of reminded me of "Rejoice," which he brought to us last year when we were in Ireland, and it just had an infectious energy, but it was on a really, really vital subject. So
yeah, I think boasting is an interesting subject just in our cultural moment. I mean, it's easy to find things to boast in. Your identity is often in so many things besides Christ, and so I think just the concept of it, it's such a Pauline thing to say, I'm going to boast in my weakness, which is counterintuitive to the culture, and so it was an interesting way to bring that subject matter into a song, putting it in a song that's upbeat and joyful, and it does have a boastful energy about it.
Yeah.
But the lyric is it's a humbling lyric if you really start to pick apart how it's put together. Yeah. And I think having Boswell and Papa be a part of it really kind of drove it to a further level lyrically, which is really fantastic.
Yeah, no, and it's so relevant. One of our friends a couple of years ago wrote a book on boasting and contrasting our current society to say the post-Victorian society, where there were just so many subjects you didn't talk about, not because they were taboo subjects, but just because we don't want to boast, we don't want to make other people feel uncomfortable, and yet social media is just replete with all of us trying to show the best of ourselves all the time, and it goes into our conversation, it goes into how we conduct business, it goes into how we talk about our churches.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yet actually it's saying no, the thing we boast about is Christ, and anything else that distracts from that's different. So it's pretty shocking.
Yeah, I mean, I even just think of Paul saying he's grateful for the thorn that he has, because it's a weakness that drives him to humility, so he can posture himself right before people and have right conversations that ultimately lead to their eyes being fixed on Christ.
And we saw all those Pauline passages, and I thought we got to get the Papa Boswell machine in to try and bring some of that.
They knew him personally, which is why.
Sometimes I wonder if Matt Boswell did, because his brilliant hymns and the way he distills Pauline theology is just incredible. So they arrived, and then they kind of it all went to pieces. Then
Well, the first time I heard that chorus, there was so much joy in it, and it just it was so moving. I loved it, and I loved the theme. Galatians 6:14, Paul says, "But as for me, I'm boasting in nothing but the cross of Christ." And so I love that theme. And it's something I don't know of another song that helps us with that. And so I was really grateful that you guys opened the book and set your mind to that direction. I thought it was incredible. And there is this, the joy of boasting in Jesus is deeper than the joy of boasting in temporary and menial things, right? There's a greater joy there. And that's resonant in the melody.
Yeah, I love one of my favorite lines in the whole song is, "Now foolish pride be crucified." I love that thought of like we're just putting that to death, and we're gonna boast in Jesus. It's just an interesting kind of parallel there.
This one was a bit of a. I mean, all the songs we work on seems like a lot to wrestle down, but this one was as well. But it always seemed to continue to be worth it to me, because I still lead worship each Sunday when I'm home, and to find songs that have energy, tempo, you say you can open a service with or whatever, that feel weighty, that don't feel sort of happy clappy, that are so hard to find those kinds of songs. So this song, I continue to believe in it because of that. It carried the weight, but it still has energy. So.
Well, and it says something. It fits in that opening of a service kind of a feel, but it says something meaningful. And I think in this, how we live in the world now, we're so prone to boasting and everything else. It's a reorientation of heart from the very beginning of a service. We've just walked in from a world that boasts in everything but the Maker. And now we're calling one another, reminding each other and ourselves to boast not in those things, but to boast in the Lord.
Even for the worship leader, I think it's a kind of a recalibration as they get on stage, and they could easily, start to puff up in pride and think I'm the focal point of this moment. And so it's kind of a good reminder, even in that moment, for the worship leader to go like, no, let me stop, let me cut that off and find my boast in the right thing.
For those who struggle with pride, which I don't.
None of us do. No musician or leader on the stage does.